Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Andre Farnell, and I'm back. I'm back to share with you a huge lesson, one that I learned over time, working with thousands of people. And this is the idea that doing something physically hard can improve the entire trajectory of your life. Boom. So I do encourage people to do physical challenges, and I'm going to give you 5 reasons why to do something difficult. I know people probably don't like doing things that are physically challenging, and I'm here to tell you that if you do, it'll inform your mind, your body, and your soul, all 3 of those things, to grow together as one. And here's the reason why. So I'm gonna give you an analogy. I like to paint lessons with like analogies and metaphors and things like that. So think of an ice cube. An ice cube is matter, right? You can crush it in your hands. You can throw it up against a wall. It'll shatter. That's matter. So our bodies are matter, right? And then you think of like when that ice cube, let's say it's the same ice cube, it gets melted, it becomes water, right? So then that would signify the mind. Like the mind has an ability to flow, right? You're able to make connections between things. You're able to use imagination, intuition. Your psychology should be fluid. I remember Bruce Lee said something like that, be as water. That's referring to the mind. And when the mind is stagnant, you have issues too, right? Overactive minds have issues. So you got to know when to pump the brakes and when to step on the gas. And then the third state of that water would be vapor. And that vapor could be like likened to the spirit. So within a human being, you have all 3 of those states existing all at one time. And that's just a quick connection as to why like people who don't physically work out or do things that challenge them, why they're working at a very small percentage of their potential. And this whole entire video segments, all these segments I do have to do with potential. So the first reason to do something physically challenging and that is hard is because it gives you a sense of accomplishment. And that's the first thing needed to do anything great. You got to feel as though you can accomplish it. It gives you what is called self-efficacy. Self-efficacy is the ability to believe that you can see something through from its creation, its inception, all the way to its conclusion. So a lot of reason why people don't even get started is because subconsciously they don't believe that they can do it. So by you doing a challenge, even a small one, let's say 25 push-ups a day, and you can only do like maybe 8 or 9 push-ups. Let's say you're gonna do that. You get to the end of a week, you did it for an entire week. You have developed a muscle, not only a physical muscle, but you've developed the belief that in your head that you can do something, stick to it, and see it through to completion. So that's one. That right there is crazy. That's why children should play sports because it teaches that lesson, and quitting things when it gets tough or when life gets in the way. I see grown-ups doing that. That's the same thing they were doing as children. Get rid of that crap. That's a human weakness. The second one is it's freaking hot. It's sexy to do physical stuff. When you're sweating, it feels really good. You feel alive. Not only do you feel like an energy moving through your body when you do a physically challenging thing, by continuously doing physically challenging things, you get a better set of health. And you're going to look sexy to your partner, to your spouse. You look sexy to the opposite sex, the same sex. People who do physically hard things, there's something attractive about that. So, that's number 2. Number 3 is you get to know you. Getting to know yourself is knowledge of self. And that's the most important thing. I think that's more important than anything. If you have knowledge of who you be when shit hits the fan, who you be when things get hard, who you be when it's busy, who you be when life throws you curveballs, because life throws us all curveballs. If you get to know exactly who that is, then you can learn how to pivot and move from a powerful place. There's no better thing to cut through to the core of who you are than something that is challenging, where in your head you're saying, I want to quit every step of the way, but you do not quit. What do you say? What kind of mantras do you have? I teach my clients to create these mantras, these powerful things that they say themselves to get them through the hard times. If you could do this on a physical level, then why can't you do this when working in your job, when creating a career? Why can't you do this when working in a relationship, like sticking it through the hard times of a relationship? You know, you have over a 50% divorce rate, and it's due to hard times, right? It's due to the environment being hard. A lot of times it's due to money not being right. So if you know yourself and who you are in those situations, you can get to that real quick by doing something to failure, or running let's say a marathon, something you never thought you could do. When you accomplish that, you look at yourself a little different. You say, holy crap, I just did that. So you get something called a knowledge of self. You know, you could play it back in your mind over and over and over, who you were when things got difficult, and if you overcame them, and when you overcome them, you can always rely to those points and markers in your life. It's freaking awesome. It's priceless, and it's already within us, but you just got to be pushed not only outside of the comfort zone, because I know that sounds really cliche, but pushed beyond what you even think your comfort zone is. Like, how could you even know a comfort zone, know what your comfort zone is, when just because you're uncomfortable for a split second? If you're uncomfortable for a prolonged period of time, that's when you really get to know who you are. And then last but not least, you get a confidence, you get a swagger from doing physically hard things. And it's an intangible greatness, right? You're going to be biting off bigger things to chew, right? So you might start with a small challenge, then you go to a bigger challenge, a bigger challenge, a bigger challenge, a bigger challenge. Pretty soon you're doing things you never even thought you could do. Pretty soon you're impacting lives you never even thought you could impact. Pretty soon you're taking on projects and you're doing bigger and great things in your life. It translates over and over and over. My favorite tool is using people's bodies to you know, let them see what they're made of. It teaches you what kind of cloth. Are you terry cloth? Are you are you very soft? Oh, or are you burlap? Are you tough? And if there's some things that you can work on, you'll find them out by challenging yourself physically hard. So every decade of my life, I do something that is physically challenging, that's very hard. And, you know, I do it to inform myself and as a gut check. You should be checking yourself often from an authentic place. So first decade of my life, well, I didn't do anything physically challenging then, because my whole entire life was a challenge at that point. I was really getting to know myself, and, you know, I was very conscious, very young, and very aware of people's energies and stuff like that. So I had to overcome a lot there, but not on a physical level. But when I was 19, it was to get on the cover of a magazine and to do bodybuilding in some capacity that made money. So, made money, and I could like have pictures of myself and show. So I did that when I was 19, bodybuilding, amateur show, and I got the cover of a magazine, a Prudential Financial magazine. So you know, it was dope. And then 20, that one I had to do another hard thing. Actually, that was 20, and then 30 was to run a marathon. So I was this bodybuilder, 215 pounds. My body fat percentage was around 8%. I trained 9 weeks, and I ran a 26.2 marathon. I ran the whole marathon. It was very hard. I lost 7 toenails. I learned a lot about myself. And that was my wake-up call, because I actually got sick during the training. And pushed the limit too far. So I learned about myself that I have this personality that I could just take it too damn far sometimes. I was teaching like 17 classes a week. I was training about 22 to 30 people, around 30 people a week. I was running my own business. I was sending trainers all over the world to work with people, and it was just pretty crazy. I was doing too much. And that was a big wake-up call, because to get that idea that rest and recovery is important, to learn that at 30 as opposed to looking back at your life and learning it at 60 or so. Like, I can move different now out here in this world. I can have more ease. I can have more fun. I can enjoy my life. And I learned that by pushing myself ridiculously hard. And so now in my 4th decade, yes, I'm almost 40. I'm going to take on another challenge. And the challenge I'm looking at now is a half Ironman. Half Ironman. So that's a 53-mile bike ride, a 1.1 mile swim, followed by a 53-mile bike ride, and then 13.1 miles running. And just even saying it to you, it sounds crazy, because I'm nowhere near that shape now, but I'll do it. I'll train and I'll do what it takes to do it. And after I'm finished, guess what? I'm going to know me as I am now. And that's why I think every decade is good to bite off a big chunk. And regularly in life, I push myself outside of what I believe my comfort zones are physically. And it helps me inform the rest of who I am. So I challenge you, if you don't do that now, to actually pick it up. To pick up that habit of physically challenging yourself. So as always, you're greater than any past circumstance. You're greater than any conditioning that you might have gone through mentally. And ultimately, you are responsible for sharing the greatest version of yourself with this world. Peace.